Page 14, Happy Heart. 3/4 time, 1 sharp in the key signature. So it's G major or E minor. Well, minor keys usually aren't that happy, so I'm guessing it's probably G major, but let's take a look at it. Bottom of page 16 at the end, the last measure, you're here. Well, here. It's a G major chord, so I'm guessing it's in G major. Right hand first, let's take a look here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. And that's tied. Lift up for the phrase and change. Now watch the fingering. Don't forget the F sharp. Reach down for the thumb. Third line, first measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and lift up. Thumb there on that one. Third finger. Then fifth finger. If you can reach it. And then lift up. Then thumb. Thumb. Page 15, second line, second measure. It's a rest. Hold the half note down. Hold that. Hey, we got 2 voices going on here. We want to hear them both. 1. Third line, 1. Now you're holding that down. 1. Watch the fingering. Then the 8th notes at the bottom of page 15, it's 1 and 2. If you can do the G major scale, this is a piece of cake, because that's it. It might not start on a G, it doesn't matter. The fingering and the notes are all in the G major scale. And there's a retardando there, but it takes you into the top of page 16 where you're doing it again. Scrunch up, thumb on the B. Second line on page 16 is here. Then here. Just send second finger nothing. 1 and 2. I suggest here, rather than crossing over, just use third finger. Here, and then instead of thumb again, lift up for the phrase, but go ahead and just stay here and use second finger. And then thumb on the, see, to me that's an easier fingering than what they're suggesting in the book. So again, slowly. The last 2 measures of the second line, you're here, and then I say a 3, 2, 1, and stay here. Until the next measure for the 8th notes, now you can scrunch up with the thumb on it. Again, 5th finger, we've had this before. Then the 4th line down, last 2 measures, it has an 8 VA, so you got to come up here. It's like an echo of that. And then the 8 VA goes away, so you come back down. Thumb, second finger. Now here, the last measure is as a BG, but it has an 8 VA, so it's up here. So on the next to the last measure, here, I suggest you substitute a thumb for that. So you play it with third finger and put a thumb on it. And that way, for the last chord, you use 2 and 5. You're in position. The chord is this. We're just not using the D. It's here, is what I suggest. The left hand accompanying it, keep it soft and out of the way. Again, we got multiple voices going on down here. So one voice is this dotted half note. Hold it down for throughout. So hold it down for the whole measure. The other voices are the quarter notes. Can't always connect it, but play it as legato as you can. We get over to page 15. Second line, the second measure, you're starting here with these parallel fifths. I can't believe she wrote parallel fifths, but she did. I recommend, rather than using 5 and 1 on all of these, we do it this way. Start with 4 and 1. This is the second measure of the second line, or measure 17 if you have measure numbers. I explain the measure numbers? Probably not. I forget that. These numbers at the beginning of each line in the little box above the staff, that's a measure number. That's the number for that measure. If you want to know the other measure numbers, you have to count across. So measure 17 is 1 after 16, and that's where I'm at. 4-1, and then 2-5, and now you can come back down. I do a 4-1 and a 2-5. I've only moved my hand one time. Here. Now, I did all that with one hand move. I like that. I don't like moving my hands when I don't have to. Then you come back, do it again. But this time, at the bottom, second measure, go ahead and just use 2-5 again. Because of the next measure, you got to come up. Then page 16 is all the same kind of stuff. The only other thing I have to warn you about for left hand is like at the top of page 15, the first line, last measure, you're here, and you need the thumb again on the D. You got to come down. That move, that's common. You get it again at the end on page 16 too, just so you're aware of it, so you can do it. Then you try to put the hands together. You hear? Make sure you hold these dotted half notes down. Dotted half notes. All the way through, just carefully, just make it a point to hold that note down with the fingers. Even though the pedal's going to do it, don't care, got to do it with the fingers. Over page 15, second line, second measure. We're starting a different theme here. Make sure you're holding these half notes and dotted half notes down. This is good practice because now you got to use different fingers at different times. And then it gets back to what we were doing before. Over on page 16, let's start with the fourth line down. We're here. And go up. That's just the right hand. The left hand doesn't move. Back down. Ends it up. Slowly work that out. You can speed it up over time as you get to know it better, because supposedly it's fast and cheerful, so be cheerful and be quick about it. I guess it's you're going up at the end of page 15 on these. Connect that C, the last note in the page, to the next note, the first note in the next page. Don't put it in any silence there. It's got to lead into it because you're going back to the theme again. So as far as the fast goes, that happens over time, and you'll work on that and get better at it. Dynamic wise, it's medium soft. That's the melody. Keep the left hand soft and out of the way. Don't forget your natural accents, so they go to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Feel that as you go through it. Second line, second measure, and then you come back up, or you go up to maybe a medium loud. You don't get loud. There, you're medium loud. Now come back down. Now you're back down to medium soft. Now you go up to medium loud again. That's medium loud. Don't get loud before, or medium loud before then. It stays moderately loud. Now back down to moderately soft, and that's the melody. So this left hand chord needs to be soft. Now you're soft. you're going to build up. Up to medium soft. So you can start even softer than soft. Start really soft and then gradually go up and plan it out. You don't want to be up to medium soft until the top of page 16. Don't be in a hurry. You got to plan that out. Crescendos, you can get all those. Then we add the pedal to kind of smooth it all out, and they're using overlapping pedal. Well, that's fine. I'd still like to hear the phrasing. And let's see how badly it smears up these eighth notes. Push the notes down and then the pedal. Change at the beginning of each measure. You play the notes first and then change the pedal. That sounds okay to you, that's fine. I mean, you have to take it up to speed to really hear what it sounds like, because it'll sound different slow than it does fast, especially with the pedal. So it's that's okay for you, go for it. I think it's mushy. I don't care for it at all. I'm going to go back to the typical waltz type pedaling, and that is either it's just the first beat of the measure, you pedal the first beat, or you pedal the first two beats and you don't pedal the third beat at all. So if I pedal just the first beat of each measure, I get this. Thing. That's a different sound. If I do the first two beats of each measure, I get this. See? Actually, I like that sound a little better. So I'll pedal the first two beats of each measure and not the third. However, I still want to hear the phrasing. So when there's phrasing involved, I'm going to lift the pedal with the right hand. I don't want to pedal the phrasing. So it starts out okay here, but here I want to make sure I lift up the pedal up so there's silence between that. And here in the third line second measure, I lift it up with the right hand, so I don't even need to pedal that measure at all. Of the page, lift it up so we get silence, so there's a phrase. And there you at top of page 15, the last measure of the first line going into the second, you can pedal all of that solid like they're showing. Lift up for the rest, and then and here I don't like this pedal. I'm only going to pedal it pretty much to connect the chords in the left hand. In other words, it's here, and then right before I change the chord, I can put the pedal down and play the next chord and lift the pedal up. Each time, I'm just connecting the chords in the left hand. And that's it. That's the only reason I'm pedaling it, because this needs to be a contrast between the other part of the song. We don't want it all to sound the same, I hope, so it's here. And that's a little different kind of pedal. That takes some practice. And I don't pedal these eighth notes. I do pedal to connect the chord in the left hand, but that's it. Then you're up to what you were doing before. Now when you get to the end on page 16, the last couple lines, here it's the same thing. I'm just pedaling the first two beats. And now the last two measures, you can pedal all of that. And that's my suggestions on the pedaling for this piece. I like to go over it very slowly, just to check the notes and the rhythms and all. I'm going to do pages 14 and 15 and then stop turn the page, count in again, and do page 16. If you're playing this for people, you can't do that. The beat's got to go on. So when you get down to the bottom of page 15 on these runs, you're going to have to let the left hand up. So you can use the left hand to turn, because the right hand's busy. It's got eighth notes to play. So there, you're just going to have to lift. You'll lose the sound if you don't pedal it. If you pedal it, then you smear it. Which do you want? But use the left hand to turn the page, so when you get to the top of, the ready for 16, you can go on. So I'm going to give 3 counts. Let's play it together if you want. 1, ready, go. Turn the page. 1, ready, go.